we have started recording today's lesson, and the topic is books and films. And the first word that we're going to look at is to be engrossed in. And this is talking about engrossed basically means whenever you are very interested in something and very focused on it, right? Specifically, it has to be exactly one thing and one thing only. And yeah, to be engrossed in. And you can use this when you're talking about any kind of book or film or some kind of series, for example. So, for example, if you're not interested in specifically one movie, or you're interested in several movies, like, for example, Twilight, one word that you can use is franchise. So you can say, I'm engrossed in the Twilight franchise. And overall, this means, like, I am very interested in all of the materials and all the information and, the whole story about Twilight. Yeah. Next is bedtime reading. So bedtime reading is basically talking about, reading before bed. And I think that kind of makes sense. And you can use this when you're talking about a book or something that you read before you go to sleep. Yeah. So that's bedtime reading. Next is to be a big reader. Now, this doesn't mean that you are physically big, like you go to the gym and you're like huge and you're very muscular. It means that you really like to read, basically. You read a lot, and that's what big time reader means. Sorry, big reader. I guess you could actually also say big time reader. Big time is in general like a kind of an old word, old phrase that a lot of boomers and like older people they use. They say like, oh, he's a big time sports player, like he plays very well, or I'm a big time actually, to be honest, I'm not sure the history, because I think big time has some other meanings. Anyway, I'll look it up. I'll post it in the group later. But big time basically means like very interested in something, and to be a big reader means somebody who reads a lot, like you read a lot. Next is to be based on. So this means used as a model. And this is like whenever, like you have a book, for example, that's based on a true story, or it's based on another story. So for example, if you're speaking, if you're writing a book and you use another book as a reference, you can say that one book is based on the other. So yeah. Next is a box office hit. This is a film that is, when it's released, it's like very popular and a lot of people watch it, and the movie makes a lot of money. That's called a box office hit. Yeah. Let's move on. Next is a blockbuster. And this is basically a film that is very successful. It's kind of similar to a box office hit, except a blockbuster just means like very popular, whereas box office hit is specifically talking about money. It made a lot of money when it hit the box office. There is some context behind this. I'm pretty sure box office is like a real term in movies. But if you ask me, I have no idea what it is. I don't really watch that many movies, so I'm not very versed in all of that information. So yeah, let's move on to the next one. The next one is to catch the latest movie. So basically, you can use the verb catch when you're talking about movies. Catch a movie. You can also use catch to talk about, like, for example, catch a break. Catch in general is a very versatile word. But yeah, to catch the latest movie means to watch a movie that just came out. Next is the protagonist. So the protagonist is, there's a lot of words to do with this, and in general, I recommend you to learn all of them. The protagonist is talking about the main character, like the good character in some kind of movie or film or book. And so the protagonist is like, for example, in Harry Potter is the protagonist. Next is the opposite of that, which is the antagonist. The antagonist is, like, for example, Voldemort. He is like the evil character, the bad character. So protagonist is the good character, antagonist is the evil character. Just for interest, there's also another type of character who's like the side character, right? He's like the helper. And in English, we call that the foil. So for example, in Harry Potter, that would be Ron Weasley. He is the foil. He's like between Harry Potter and Voldemort. So yeah. Let's move on to the next word, which is going to be couldn't put it down. So this is like talking physically about the action of like taking the book and putting it down, like to stop reading it, right? And if you say, I couldn't put it down, that means that the book was so interesting that you just had to continue reading it, like on and on and on. You couldn't stop reading it. Yeah, and another word that's kind of similar is a page turner. So you can use this to describe a book that was so interesting that you just had to turn the page one after another. So an example of this, to give you like an example using both of these words, you can say, I recently finished reading The Alchemist and I couldn't put it down. It's a real page turner. So this means that like the book was so interesting, I couldn't stop reading it. I had to read it like until I finished it, the whole book. So that's what that word is. Pretty both are very good, especially if we're talking about books. Learn these because you need to use them if your topic is going to be books. Yeah. By the way, when I do take my test on the 25th, I'm so scared about that. When I do take the test on the 25th, I'm going to be making an analysis later about my answer, about the topics that I used, and about all the questions for speaking. So you guys should get ready for that. Get very excited. I'm going to be advertising that on the channel, I think, today, because that is exciting stuff, and I think it's important for you guys to see like your teacher taking the test. You know, how did I do? What did I think about? And I'm going to be trying to kind of think about all the different parts of how I answered and all the techniques that I used, because I think it's really important. I think it'll be cool to do that. And hopefully you guys are excited about that as much as I am, because the last time I took the test, I took it and I was like, oh, interesting, cool, I got a 9. But this time I'm really going to be going into how did I get a 9? What did I answer? What ideas did I use? What vocabulary did I use? What grammar did I use, right? And I'm going to be really analyzing it, which I think will be helpful. I really do. I believe that. Yeah. I'm still trying to open the lecture on my computer so that you guys can see, because this is quite uncomfortable. I apologize, but my computer is old. My new one still has not got here yet, so I'm sorry. Let's continue. An ebook. This is different from a book, or you can say a paper book, because an ebook is an electronic book. I think you guys know what that means. Let's move on to the next one. An e-reader. This is like, for example, a Kindle Fire or some kind of tablet or some kind of like iPad, which lets you read books, basically. And it's an electronic reader. Yeah. Makes sense? Simple. Let's move on. To flick through. To flick through means to look through a book quickly. In fact, the word flick is like whenever you take your fingers, right, and you kind of, it's difficult for me to show, like, you know, the OK sign with your hand whenever you show OK. When you like let go of your finger and it like quickly moves, that's called flick. And to flick through means to like quickly go through a book, to like move all of the pages very quickly. So that's what flick through means. Yeah. Next, let's talk. Sorry. Yeah. To give you an example of that, actually, you could say, I'm sorry I didn't read the homework, but at least I flicked through it. So that means just to quickly look over the homework. Next is to go on general release. This is like when you have some kind of like book or some kind of film hey guys, I can see you're writing in the messages. My screen is not turned on yet. I'm gonna turn it on soon. I'm sorry. It's actually working right now. Give me a moment. Wait. Pause the lesson. Join. Perfect. Okay. Let me share my screen. Do. Okay. There we go. Yeah, that's what I like to see. All right. For some reason I can't hear myself on the computer, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. Okay, perfect. So we talked about this. Let me connect my mouse. Oh my God. So much comfort in this world. So many different technologies. Would you look at that? And now I have a mouse. Perfect. So we talked about this and this. Hopefully you guys remember what these words mean. Yeah. Let's move on to the next one. So general release basically means whenever you have like a book or something that is released first to like privately, like for example, to people that are reviewing, and then general release is when everybody can see it. Next is hardback, and the opposite of this is paperback. And hardback basically means a type of book which has a hard cover for it. Like, for example, like the first and last pages of the book, not the pages, but like the outside of the book. Whenever it's made of tough cardboard, like it's hard, it's called hardback, literally. In general, a lot of like American and, just in general English words, not necessarily American. A lot of English words are like very simple, like hardback. Literally, the back is hard. That's how they thought of this word. So yeah, and that's why I love the English language, because it's so easy and funny, comedy. Let's move on to the next one. A low budget film. This is a film that was made with not a lot of money. The opposite is a high budget film. Yeah, there's another actually word for that. There's another word which is, I think, AAA film? No, that's for games. It's a okay. I'm pretty sure there's another word for that, but to be honest, I can't remember it right now. So we're gonna keep that for later. On the big screen. This is sorry. Yeah, it's not called low. It's not called high budget. It's called big budget films. The budget is big. That's how they say it. It's a bit strange. Anyway, yeah. Would you look at that? A page turner. This is the same word that I talked about before. I thought it wasn't here, but actually it's here. Page turner is the same as couldn't put it down, so I'm gonna write that in here. Yeah, I just remembered that, and apparently it's already here. Next is paperback. As I said, this is like a book that the cover is soft, so it's made out of paper. That's why they call it a paperback. Next is the plot. The plot is a synonym kind of the word story, right? So this is like the things that happen in the film or the book. Yeah. To read something from cover to cover. This means to read it from the first page to the last because it was so interesting. And you usually say this whenever you're trying to emphasize how interesting the book was. So you can say something like, oh my God, Harry Potter was so interesting. The plot was amazing and the story was great. So I read it from cover to cover. So this means like from the beginning to the end. And the cover is usually what we call like the paperback or the hardback. That's like the end of the book. Next is sci-fi, and this stands for science fiction. And I really recommend you to use this if you have some kind of question like, what is your favorite genre of films? And you could say, my favorite is sci-fi. And then when you mention that, you can start talking about technology. And technology is like the easiest topic to talk about. And there's so many words, so much topic related vocab that you can like, for example, if you guys remember, I answered like a part 2 or a part 3, I think, about like films, right? Before on the channel from the speaking app. And thankfully the question basically what I said was I started talking about sci-fi. I said like my favorite genre is sci-fi, and I just started talking about the most random stuff, like for example the future and time travel and different kinds of machines and technologically advanced ideas and all that kind of stuff. Literally, if you get this topic, just talk about sci-fi because you'll get a lot of topic related vocab points. Let's move on. The setting. This is where the book takes place, basically. Where does the book happen? Where does the book or the movie happen? So, for example, the setting of Harry Potter is Hogwarts. Next is soundtrack, and another one is, we call this BGM. BGM. And I wouldn't use the word BGM on your tests, not necessarily. But if you're talking, if you get questions about soundtrack, then you might want to learn this word because BGM literally means background music. And if you ever see this, now you know it means background music. Next is special effects. This is like the stuff that happens in the movie, like all the magical stuff. That's called special effects. Yeah, now you know. Next is to take out a book from a library. To take out, you can use this when you're talking about food, but in general, you can also use this when you're talking about books. Yeah, so I took out Harry Potter from the library. Sorry, I don't know how to read because I'm 2 years old, so the only book I know is Harry Potter. I'm joking. Next is to tell the story of. And this is a great way to talk about like a book or some kind of like film, right? Whenever the film or the book is talking about someone's life, then the book or the story tells the story of somebody. So yeah, that's what that means. So tell the story of. Great word. Recommend you guys to use it. Bazinga bazonga. Let's get on with today's lesson. Let me answer I think like 1 or 2 questions using this vocabulary so that you guys understand how and what to use it. And as you guys remember, for homework, you should listen back to this, write down my ideas, and then answer trying to use the same ideas. Yeah. If you give me a moment, my computer is once again loading because I live in a world of technology. All right, books and films. So here is the first question. First question. Do you like to read books? Yes, I would say that I am a very big reader. I have read a lot of books based on true stories as well as books that are fiction. In general, my favorite genre of books is sci-fi because I really like to read about time travel and different technological advancements. So as I said, talk about sci-fi. Please just do it. Like, sci-fi is the easiest topic. There's so many different types of sci-fi books. It's a great topic. So as you can see, that answer, I literally just like gave you I used the same exact technique that I'm telling you about. Let's move on. How often do you go to the cinema? To be honest, as much as I love catching the latest movies, I hate going to the cinema because the big screen carries a lot of different uncomfortable stigmas with it. The biggest one being that the noise in the cinema is very unpleasant, and also the movie theaters in the country where I currently live are way too loud. So I don't enjoy going to cinemas at all. Let's move on to the next one. Do you prefer reading books or watching films? In general, I think there should be a healthy balance, and for me, I really like to flick through the book that a movie is based on before I watch the movie and before the movie goes on general release, because a lot of movies based on books are actually low-budget films, and they can be not as interesting as the book itself. I feel like a lot of books are a lot better because you get to kind of watch a movie inside of your own head. And for me, my imagination is very wild, and so I really like reading books, I think, more than movies most of the time. Let's move on to the next question. So now I'm going to be talking about part 3. Part 3. Is reading as pleasurable in digital formats? Well, for me, a hardback or a paperback, in general, books that are physical are much more interesting because, first of all, the smell. This is a classic. I think everybody likes to talk about the smell of books, but in reality, the smell of books is very important for me because it represents the physical in terms of the book. The idea of the book is just as important to me as the physical representation of it. And I think that the digital format lacks that sorely. You don't get the same kind of engagement and attachment to the book because you cannot physically feel it. And another thing is, whenever you're reading, in general, you read much slower when you're reading in a digital format, which I do not enjoy. But one thing that is really cool is that you can actually listen to books now, which I think could potentially outweigh the drawbacks of reading in the digital format. Okay, perfect. So that was a part 3 answer. Hopefully that was pretty good. Hopefully you guys liked that. I didn't use as much vocab from the day today, but this vocab is very versatile. There's like a lot of different topics. And in general, I think that books and films is a topic that you should learn about. It's important. It's good for you. All right, let's move on to the next topic. Okay, so the topic for today, the vocab topic is, sorry, not the vocab, the grammar topic. Can you guys see the screen? Yeah, you can. All right, is it working? Okay. Thank God. Sorry, I was scared for a moment. Okay, we're good. We're fine. All right, so today the topic is going to be passive voice. And in general, as you guys probably know, passive voice is very useful in English. It's, one of the elements of English that you are tested upon whenever you are doing your IELTS test. And especially part 1 writing is where you use the passive voice the most. But for speaking, passive voice is also very helpful. And especially, like, to give you an example of how I would use the passive voice, I would say something in the realm of, let me say that real quick. There was a moment in my life where, I'm going to write that down. Sorry, not where, when. There was a moment in my life when. And from there, you can say any sentence. So you can just put any sentence in here. So you can say something like, there was a moment in my life when I really liked sci-fi. Or there was a moment in my life when I something, whatever. Anything you want, you can put after the word when. And just in general, this is a structure in the passive voice because you're saying there was subject. There's the subject, was is the verb, and a moment is the object. But in this case, there is not really a subject. It's the it's the substitute for this. So you're like putting this here. In any case, so here let's talk about let's talk a little bit about how the passive voice works. But this course is mainly about like IELTS techniques rather than the grammar behind the passive voice. So I'll explain how it works, but I'm not going to go into detail because I think all of you already know how the passive works mainly. So yeah, this structure is how I would use the passive voice on my speaking test. And in fact, this phrase as a whole is a really cool phrase. So I would recommend you to use it. It's a great phrase. Really nice recommendation. Let's move on. Yeah, let's just read this together. In grammar, voice is the form of the verb, is the form the verb takes to show the relationship between the action and the participants in an event. The voice can be active or passive. In a sentence written in the active voice, the subject of the sentence performs the action. Example, she wrote the letter. On the other hand, in a sentence written in the passive voice, the subject receives the action. Example, the letter was written. Down here at the bottom of the file, I also have a list of all of the ways that you can form the passive voice, like in all of the tenses. Present simple, present continuous, past simple, all of them. Plus as well, modal simple and modal perfect simple. And yeah, these are useful, but one thing you guys should know is later this week, we're going to be talking about exactly which tenses you should be using on your speaking test. So first of all, get ready for that because I think that's going to be a very important lesson. And another thing is, yeah, you should go back to this chart. If you want, you can like take a screenshot and then save it. I will send this file into the group as you remember. But this is going to be helpful for you after that lesson because then you will know how to use the passive voice using those tenses. But anyway, yeah. How do you use the passive voice? Well, when do we use the passive voice? We use the passive voice when we want to focus the reader's attention on the person or thing affected by the action. In the above example, the letter was written. Our attention goes to the letter. As you may have already noticed, we form the passive using be in a suitable tense and the past participle, written, invited, stolen, etc. In those situations, then, should we use the passive voice instead of the active voice? The passive voice is commonly used in the following cases. So here are the situations when we use the passive voice. Mainly, like the main usage, just so you guys know right away, is whenever the person who is doing the action is not important. Whenever it's more important that the action is done in the sentence and you think it's more important to like show that, you use the passive voice. So number one, when we do not know who the agent or doer is. So for example, for much of human history, animals have been captured and put in zoos for our entertainment. Animals have been captured. Animals have been captured. Captured by who? We don't know. If you want to make this active, you would say, for example, for much of human history, people have, you remove the word been, people have captured and put who, and put animals in zoos. What? How did that happen? Put animals in zoos for our entertainment. So now this sentence is active, and we know who did it, people. But in this case, we don't know. Like, people is a general word, and we don't know the specifics. So since who the person does it is not important, the person who does it is not important, we say, for much of human history, animals, subject, have been captured and put in zoos for entertainment. So, yeah, hopefully you guys get it. That's the only explanation. Let's move on. When it's obvious to the listener or reader who the agent is, when we know who it is, like in this case also, we know that humans have captured animals, not other animals. When it's not important to know who the agent is, when people in general are the agents. So nowadays, most movies and TV shows can be streamed online. Can be streamed online by who? By people. So nowadays, people can stream movies and TV shows online. Simple. When we use the passive voice, we can leave out the agent or doer. So for example, in this example, we don't say who does it because we know who does it. So that does make sense. Or you can place it at the end or like in the middle of a sentence. There's different situations. You can say by plus who does it. Agent in this case means who does the action. So that kind of makes sense. One of the best gifts that I've ever received was a necklace that was given to me by my grandmother. By who? My grandmother. And one more very important thing. We do not form passive structures with intransitive verbs. So intransitive means like there's two types of verbs, transitive and intransitive. Transitive verbs are verbs that need an object. Intransitive means they do not need an object. As far as I remember, I think maybe it's not, maybe it's the other way around. So for example, like run, If you say run, then the subject runs, right? The person who does the action runs. There's no object for that word. You cannot say, I run her or I run them, right? That doesn't make sense because then actually the word run takes a different meaning. It means control. That's a completely different word though. So, for example, the word died. You cannot say, I died you. That is illogical. The object you does not go to the word died because died does not have an object. It's intransitive. So you do not use them for passive structures. There's a list of intransitive verbs, and in general, this is just about practice. But I think most of the time, the words that you're going to use are not going to fall under this. Another very popular example of this that you should write down right now, get some paper and write this down because you should remember, especially for writing part one. The word rise is intransitive, which means the word rise does not take an object. You do not say, I rose the numbers. That's illogical. That doesn't make sense. The word rise is intransitive. So yeah. Anyway, that is the end of the passive tense lesson. Try to use this on your speaking sometimes, not necessarily a lot because it's mainly for writing task one. This is where you're going to use a lot. But yeah, we don't have time, I think, for pronunciation today. And plus, most of these movies are pretty simple. Let's do a couple words that I think could be difficult. And then I'm going to turn off the screen recording because my computer is about to die. The first word is protagonist. Protagonist. Antagonist. Antagonist. To be engrossed in. To be engrossed in. A blockbuster. A blockbuster. Hardback. Hardback. Paperback. Paperback. Sci-fi. Sci-fi. Special effects. Special effects. So that's it. Yeah, I'm going to save this file. I will be sending this into the group once again, as I said. So no worries about that. You're gonna get to see it. Yeah, my computer is gonna die. Let me turn it off real quick before it dies. One moment. Do. Okay. Yes. Good. Okay, we're good. So yeah, let's get on with the feedback section of today. Let's talk about you guys. Let's see how you're doing. Yeah. Okay, today I wrote down who was going to get their feedback. Today is the 22nd of August. So today we have Mukhlisa. Mukhlisa, if you're here in the chat, please say hello. Raise your hand, Mukhlisa, so I can see you. Mukhlisa. Hello. Hello. All right. Allow to speak. If you can hear me, please say hi. Unmute yourself. I cannot hear you right now. Please unmute yourself so I can see you. Mukhlisa.
Okay, hi.
Hey, what's up? Are you ready for your feedback? Would you like a part 1 or a part 3?
Yes, part 1, please.
No problem. Okay, so here's your question. Do you like reading books?
Well, actually, I'm a big fan. I'm a big reader, and I like reading books. I have lots of books based on sci-fi, education, and adventure books. Mostly, I really like adventure books. And the films also based on adventure books are always blockbuster films. Then that's all.
Okay, cool. Good. So here are two things. First of all, the pronunciation of the word sci-fi. Remember, it's not sci-fi, it's sci-fi. Yeah, remember we did the pronunciation. Yeah, it's sci-fi. That's a bit of a mistake. Also, whenever you said based on, the word based on is used whenever you're talking about the topic. So not the genre, but the topic. So like, for example, what is the story or something like that? Yeah. But in general, very good job using the vocabulary from the lesson. That shows a good student because that's what you have to do. You have to learn the vocabulary by using it. And then when a teacher corrects you, you're going to use it correctly next time. So don't take it like, stop using the vocab, right? Good job using the vocab. I'm proud of you. That's awesome. You used the phrase big reader. That's great. Awesome. Great job. That's good job using that. Another thing is you could say, so whenever you said are always blockbusters, like remember part 1 is about you. So you have to try to talk about yourself. So if I was you, I would say something like, they are always my favorite. Like I really love the movies about adventure films. So good job, like branching out the topic. Good job giving an answer. Awesome. Thank you so much, Mukhlisa. Try to work on like the correct usage of the vocab. But otherwise, you're doing great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Have a great day. All right, let's move on to the next person. The next person is going to be Sabina Bonu. Sabina Bonu, please raise your hand if you can hear me. Sabina Bonu. Sabina Bonu. I have a feeling she's not here. Sabina Bonu. I know where you live. I really do. I will find you. Okay, next person is going to be Nilu Ulugbekovna. Nilu Ulugbekovna. Hello. Hi. How are you doing? Please say hi if you can hear me. Unmute yourself.
Hi, Alex. How are you?
I'm doing great. Your microphone is a little bit strange, but I think it should be okay. Do you want part 1 or part 3?
Oh, actually, I want part 3.
Perfect. There we go. Someone looking to challenge themselves. So here's your question for part 3. Here's your question. Do you think bookshops will survive the digital revolution?
Well, give me a moment to think over about it. Well, actually, I think the books is essential for every time, and they are not losing their kind of preciousness through the time. And I think there will be kind of demand for the bookshops even in the digital era. Well, actually, there are several reasons for this. The first reason, I think, the people wanted to experience of reading the exact real book, and also they wanna feel, as well as I could say that they wanna feel. To cover from page to page, to look through quick, or have kind of pursuits related to the reading. That's why there would be lots of bookshops as well as libraries where people will fond of reading. People will visit and fond of reading. The second reason why they will be remain even in the technological or as well as digital era, I could say the kind of what I can say, how do I put it? The time having
Okay, wait, please stop. Mukhlisa, your answer was a little bit too long. So first of all, great job with the structure. It's really awesome that you like started using different ideas, and then you used really good discourse markers. So you said something like, I think there are, something reasons for this. And like the way you were saying it was amazing, but then you just started babbling and you were like, try to be a little bit more concise. What?
I lost the point, to be honest. Well,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you lost your point because your answer was just a little bit too long and you were just a little bit too ambitious. But in general, your answer was pretty good. Let me give you a little bit of feedback. So first of all, you used the word appeal, which was great. And you started by saying, give me a moment to think over. I think instead of to think over, you should say to think about it. But in general, yeah. So here's some more feedback. Preciousness. I think instead of preciousness, you should use the word value. I think that's a bit of a better word. And whenever you said there will be kind of demand, I feel like something better would be to say something, for example, like there will still be a small but dedicated demand. Dedicated means like people still really want it. Like there will be not a lot of people that want it, but people that want it very much, right? Like they really, really like books. So I feel like if you were a little bit more detailed about what kind of demand, because you just said there will be a kind of demand, then that would be a bit better. But in general, great structure for your answer. Keep doing that. Good discourse markers, very nice. Try to just think about like how you're answering and try not to lose the point, right? But like using structures is amazing, and it's a sign of a very good answer. So yeah, great job.
Thanks, yeah.
Thank you. Have a great day, sorry, not Mukhlisa. You are. I can't see you. Yeah, I can't. Where are you? You're not here in the chat. You have disappeared. Nilu, hello.
And
I see you.
you.
Yes, I see you. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Take care.
Bye
Thank
bye. All right. So let's move on to the next person. The next person is going to be. Please raise your hand if you can hear me. Zafarova Nursatoy. Zafarova Nursatoy. Hello. Hi. If you can hear me, please raise your hand. Please unmute yourself and say hi.
Hi, Alex. Good evening.
Hello. Doing great. How are you? Sorry. Would you like a part 1 or part 3?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, then let's do, I guess, a part 1. So here's your question. How often do you go to the cinema?
Well, actually, not as often as I want, but whenever I have this opportunity, I go with my friends, and the most favorite place for us is Magic Cinema. Actually, I went there a few weeks ago and watched a really amazing film about
Hello?
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, so is that the end of your answer?
Yes, it isn't.
Okay, that happens. I think you're probably a little bit stressed. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Let me give you a little bit of feedback, like techniques that I think you could use to improve. All of the questions, like from these lessons, try to answer each of them by first, like for part 1 or part 3, first writing down your ideas and then speaking, because I feel like the topic, do you like going to the cinema? It's a pretty simple topic, right? I feel like you should just have an answer ready for that. You should not memorize your answer, but you should practice answering this question. And I think you should practice just doing more speaking about simple topics so that you already know how to speak. Because I can hear that you're not making a lot of grammar mistakes. So I don't think you don't know how to answer. I just think you don't have the confidence. So I think you should practice like answering all the simple questions, and then it'll be easier for you later in the future. All right?
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day. 1 sec. I can't see you for some reason. There we go. Thank you, Nusratoy. All right, Nusratoy. Uzbek names are beautiful. I like them. Let's move on to the next person. The next person today is going to be Feruza Isanova. Please raise your hand if you can hear me. Feruza Isanova. Feruza Isanova. Okay, looks like she's not here. Let's move on to the next person. Barney Choi. Barney Choi, I can see you already. How are you doing? Allow to speak. Please say hi if you can hear me, and then unmute yourself.
Hello, good evening, teacher.
I'm doing
Hello.
great. So would you like a part 1 or part 3?
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Let's do a part 3. So here's your question. Is reading as pleasurable in the digital format?
Well, as for me, as I'm an avid reader, I really love reading books, and it doesn't matter for me reading in a digital format or other format, I would say. So, in an advanced technology world, as for me, reading books by myself on a PDF format is much more pleasurable and helpful for me.
Okay. That's so. This question was part 3, right? I told you it's part 3, and for part 3, your answers are supposed to be a bit more general. The way you answered, you basically just said, I like reading books. It doesn't matter for me whether it's online or offline, right? And I feel like you could talk a little bit more. Like if you remember hearing my answer, right? I talk specifically about the way the books feel, and then I talked about myself. So I feel like you should have done something like that, or you should have talked about someone else. For example, like you could say, some of my teachers at school, they don't have the space for their books because they read so much. And so because of that, e-readers are more easy for them to use, right? So like try to include different ideas. Like for part 3, they are looking for you to include different kinds of general topics, general ideas. But you only talked about yourself, like a personal topic, which is for part 1. It's not for part 3, right? And so because of that, I'd say, first of all, remember, part 3 is about general, not just about yourself. And number 2 is, I like your fluency. I like you're using some discourse markers here and there. It's good. But I cannot give you like a grade because that sounded more like a part 1 answer rather than a part 3 answer, right? So yeah, keep that in mind. Keep in mind what's part 1, what's part 3. And if I had to choose what to improve, I would say improve your academic vocab. Topic vocab, it comes along the way, but yeah, you should improve your academic vocab, but your fluency is fine. So yeah, thank you so much, Brian and Troy. Have a great day.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's move on to the next person. Komila, please raise your hand if you can hear me. Komila. I love the way your name looks. It looks cool. Okay, please say hi if you can hear me.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, we have a lot of nice ladies today. Komila, would you like a part 1 or part 3?
Well, it doesn't matter.
All right, so let's do part 3. I'm gonna be testing you guys today. Here's your question. Statistics show that visits to the cinema are up despite the availability of DVDs and online downloads. Why do you think this is?
Well, can you explain the question?
I'm not sure actually. I don't know. I'm gonna explain the question because I'm trying to give you feedback. But to be honest, I'm not sure whether they would explain the question on the test. Maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. So let me explain the question. Right now, a lot of people are going to cinemas, but it's much easier to get DVDs or watch movies online. Why do you think so many people are going to the cinema?
Well, I think it really depends who you are. So many people are really interested in to go to the cinemas with their boyfriends, girlfriends, or with their parents, just like to spend their time much more nicely. So I think that the people that love to go to the cinema and all the time watch the movie go to the cinemas, they only spend their time for entertainment. So I think so.
Okay. So in general, what I think you should work on is grammar. So you make a couple pretty simple mistakes. Your fluency is pretty good. I can hear that you're speaking. Try to make pauses in the right places. I feel like you're making like a couple pauses here and there, which are kind of strange. But we'll talk about that in a second. First, interested in to go to. Here you don't need to, so you would say interested in going to. So not to go. That's the wrong word pattern, the wrong verb pattern. Sorry. Also, kind of pronunciation. Did you say parents or parents?
Parents.
Okay. Did you make a mistake, or did I just hear you say parents, or did you say parents?
I don't know. I say parents.
Okay. Well, it just sounded a bit strange. Maybe you were stressed, so I don't know. I did write that down, but in any case, the word kinda, great. As I said before, native speakers, they use a lot of like really meaningless words all the time whenever they're speaking. And whenever you use the word kinda, you sound very natural, which is good. Another mistake is all time watch the movie and much more nicely. So just as I said, a couple like grammatic mistakes here and there, grammar mistakes. Try to work on that. Your fluency is pretty good. Think about how you're structuring your answer. So I heard your answer, but in general, I don't understand your opinion. I don't really hear what you're saying, right? Like I hear the words that you're saying, but your point and your idea doesn't come through. Try to use simple words whenever you're explaining what you actually think. So for example, from the question, right? Give me a moment. Give me a moment. Oh my God. I can hear Gangnam Style outside. Somebody's listening to Gangnam Style. Oh my God. What year is this? Sorry. So the question is, statistics show that visits to the cinema are up despite the availability of DVDs and online downloads. Why do you think so many people are going to the cinemas? So you were talking about the fact that, it's a better experience. You can go with your friends and your family, and it's like, it's a nice thing to do rather than just watching, right? So I want to hear that in one sentence at the beginning. There's no direct answer. So you should have given a direct answer. Something like, I think that people are still going to cinemas because cinemas are more fun and it's a better experience, like that. And then you can start explaining. But I feel like you started explaining first and then you gave your direct answer later, which is not good. All right? Yeah, so try to work on that.
Okay, thank you.
That's it. Thank you so much, Camila. Have a great day. All right, let's move on to the next person. Did I record today's lesson? Yeah, I think I did. Sorry, my memory is terrible. Okay. The next person is going to be. What is that? Okay. Next person is. I think. Guzal Matkurbanova. Guzal Matkurbanova. Please raise your hand so I can see that you're here. Guzal Matkurbanova. I see you. Hello. Okay. Please say hi if you can hear me.
Hi, Alex.
Hi. Oh my God, they're still listening to Gangnam Style. I can't believe it. That's a good. Do you like Gangnam Style?
No.
Me neither. Exactly. It's a terrible song. It gives me memories of a time that was not good. I mean, there was no coronavirus, but still, Gangnam Style is not a good song. Okay, would you like a part 1 or a part 3?
Okay, it's up to you. It doesn't matter.
Okay, let's do a part 1. As you remember, part 1, you're supposed to talk a bit more about yourself. So here's a question: do you prefer reading books or watching films?
To tell the truth, I'm not a big reader. That's why I prefer to watch movies rather than reading books. There are many kind of books and films, movies based on the written books, and I'm really can say that I'm not a big reader, but I'm a big movie watcher.
Okay, is that the end of your answer?
Yes, of course.
Awesome. That was very concise. That was actually a great answer. I really, really liked it. As a whole, like, that is the type of part 1 answer that you want to see from a student. That is how you should answer. That is the exact structure. Everything is perfect. To make it better, like, if you want to get like higher and higher scores, because I think already this is like maybe a 7, 6, 7, at least I think 6.5 kind of answer. You should work on your vocab. Try to add more embellishments, different kind of like academic words, topic-related words. You already used some topic-related words, like you said, big reader and big watcher, which is perfect. That kind of like, so something that I talk about sometimes is it's a very good idea to use the same words. That shows like kind of a continuity. It sounds good because you said, I'm not a big reader of movies, but I'm a big watcher. And then you laughed because you understood that you're using the same word, and it shows kind of a parallel, which is perfect. That sounded very native, very natural. And the examiner would see that, and the examiner would think, wow, this person understands what they're saying. This is not a memorized answer, but the structure is good. The grammar is good. Chef's kiss. Very nice. I really liked it. Use more different kind of academic vocab, which like that would make it better. And work on your pronunciation. Truth-based, and then one grammar mistake that was a bit strange. I am the really can say. I think something like that. So try to work on your grammar a little bit, but that's like a slip. It's not a very big mistake. So yeah, in general, great answer. Really, really good. Guzal, awesome. 10 out of 10. High five. That was good. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
All right. So I think that's about it for today. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this lesson. Yeah. Today we talked about passive voice, how to use it, different situations. Passive voice in general, it's not like 100% required to use it, but the more different types of sentences you use in your speaking, the higher your mark is going to be. Of course, you have to use different kinds of grammar. And in general, it's a very good thing to know the differences so that you know whenever you're making mistakes. Thank you guys for joining me today. Hope you have a great day. Unfortunately, the people that are in the list of people that didn't do their homework, they are going to be removed from the feedback section. They have already been. And so now we can see the people who are getting their feedback and when. So hopefully that's more comfortable for you guys. This is my first course, so unfortunately I couldn't do this from the beginning. I had to kind of figure out as we go along. But hopefully now it's okay. I hope you guys have a great day. I don't have anything to sell to you today, so I'm just wishing you guys a great day. Hope you have a great day and see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.